How long are you going to be telling yourself the same story? Where you were the victim, where you were helpless. How long will you ruminate on the things that you could not control, you could not change, you cannot fix? See, I was doing this for such a long time. Focusing on what I wanted to be different, and not what I could make different. Childhood trauma has been a big part of my life. It's been a big part of what I've been learning about, what I've been doing, researching about, living. And I've noticed that I've been telling myself the same story. And my story is important, and that part of my story will always matter. I find myself going back to chapter 2 of this book and rereading it, and sometimes erasing and putting different words and maybe thinking of a different scenario of how the chapter can go. But at the end of the day, that chapter has already been written. It's time for us to continue writing the story, to change the narrative, because at the end of the day, it's in our power. We cannot change what has happened. We cannot change the people that were involved. What we can change is the way we continue to write the story. A lot of us make that part of our identity. Not being seen, not being heard, not being loved. It hurts. And it takes time to move forward, but once you have that awareness, you have that validation for yourself, it makes me wonder, like, for me personally, why do I keep telling this story? And if I am going to tell a story, what are we getting out of it? Just a hurt child that wants to be heard, or this happened to me and this is what I did with what I could, and this is how I alchemized it. I think we get too comfortable with the stories that we give ourselves. And telling this story all the time really is just draining the energy that you have, because it takes you back to a place where you were not high vibe. It takes you back to a place where you were low energy. It takes you back to the emotions of that moment. We don't understand that every time we tell this story, every time we talk about what happened to us, we're draining our energy. The energy of the present moment. The energy that we can be putting into things that we actually love. The desires that we want, the people that we currently love in this moment, and into ourselves. A moment of ruminating on what my story is, or what it used to be. I have to literally tell myself, this is no longer my story, because I'm creating a new one. I have this poem that I wrote a while ago, and I'm going to read it out so I can let it go, because this has been my story for the longest. The ones I loved the most. To feel unloved by the ones you love the most. A kid left by her mother on the side of the road. When sad, I couldn't run to a warm hug called wisdom. I searched for the love in others, but that could not fix it. I wasn't taught to hold myself with so much compassion, with no blame that I had ruined the life of others just by existing. That I did not belong, but that is what I felt by the ones I loved the most. Scream when you're angry, dismiss what's too hard to take on. The tears of a child lost, asking where's my mom? Where's the ones that love me as much as I love them? My body aches with no answer. I became a dancer, dancing with my shadow and ego. I was too young, too hurt to see though, but now I do. Do not boast about them. I do not toast in the fire of their pain, the pain I received and took on as a child by the ones I loved the most. I now let go of the story and transform it into a story of how I created a life that I wanted, that my heart was called to do, and living in my purpose. And I encourage everyone else that has a dark childhood, traumatic experience to remember that you are in power. You can take your power back and use it for something greater.